Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Rabinovitz, and welcome to our Score Academy virtual open house. Look forward to talking with you guys tonight. Just a few housekeeping things. Sorry, let me get. All right, here we go. We have a couple of handouts. So if you click on the handouts portion of the GoToWebinar control panel, you'll be able to download those. If you have any difficulty, feel free to send me an email, jason@scoreatthetop.com. If you have any audio difficulties, if you click on the audio, you have the option of calling in with your phone. It'll take you a couple of seconds to get it all set up, but it will usually correct the problem. I've only had the problem once before, and I do a lot of these. If you have any questions at all during the course of our presentation, we will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. So I would invite you to submit your questions, again, through the GoToWebinar control panel. Just click on the questions and then you can write them in there. After our heads of school and our guests are finished with their presentation, then I will pop back in and go through your questions. A little bit about Score Academy. It was founded in New Jersey in 1980 as a tutoring test prep company by my mother, Judy Rabinovitz, who spent over 20 years working for educational testing services in developing the testing software for the SAT and the PSAT, and played an instrumental role in developing the first test prep book for the College Board. She literally wrote the book when it came to this stuff. Over the years, her business grew and grew until eventually we begot our first accreditation in the year 2000, and continued to open up new locations and enroll more students. So to date, more than 90% of our students have been accepted to 4 universities. Fast forward to today, in the last school year, we had 177 full-time students and 96 part-time students, with 92% heading to 4-year colleges, and we will go over our very impressive college list later on in the presentation. Now, before I start talking about Score at the Top, I'm going to turn it over to the people who are can more intelligently speak about it than me. So tonight I have with us Leanne Elder, who's the head of school in our Boca Raton office. Leanne has been my longest running head of school. She's been with us for about 9 years. She went to both UVA and Harvard. And Lauren is our head of school in Broward County. She runs the Coral Springs and Weston offices, and she's been with us for almost 5 years. And Lauren is a Yale graduate, so we have our Ivy League team tonight. Also with us tonight is Kim and Tatum Hawthorne. Tatum was one of our graduating seniors this year, and Kim is her mother. So they're gonna just pop in from time to time and tell us a little bit about Score and how they felt. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren and Leanne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited to be speaking with you all tonight. I am going to talk a little bit about our one-on-one model. Our Coral Springs campus really specializes in one-on-one education. So what that means is one teacher and one student per classroom, whether that's in person or virtual. So in a one-on-one setting, we're highly flexible and very customizable. So we really can adjust our curriculum and our teaching style and even our scheduling to the individual needs of our students. So an example of this is this year I actually just graduated a student within 3 years in a one-on-one setting. She was able to finish all of her high school credits. We were able to accelerate her and move her ahead, which we could do in a one-on-one setting. So over the course of the presentation this evening, I'll be speaking a little bit more to the one-on-one side of things. But as a Score Academy student, students can take all one-on-one classes, but they can also take some one-on-one classes. So maybe like an English and a math, and then they can do their other classes in a small group setting. And Score Academy students can also take all of their classes in a small group setting. So I'll turn it over to Leanne, who can talk about our small classroom advantage in Boca.
Thank you, Lauren. So yes, I'm going to speak a little bit about our small classroom advantage. We do offer one-on-one in Boca, either all one-on-one or a combination of one-on-one and small group. It's just that we have a larger student population, so things fit into a slightly different grid, and we have a slightly different way of doing things. But most of the students in Boca do either all group classes, or they might do at least one group class. So if we look at the next slide, you can see that, what makes us so special. Lauren spoke a little bit already about some of the things with one-on-one. We'll get to a couple of those a little bit more in detail. But we really do specialize in the interactive, individualized learning. It's all about those relationships between our teachers and our students. It's an engaging atmosphere where students are encouraged to talk, ask questions. It's usually fairly lively, even in a math or an English class, because the students are all working together in a collaborative environment. In terms of study skills and organizational skills, if your children at home are anything like one of mine in particular, this is one of the big draws for SCORE Academy for me as a parent, to have an ADHD 14, well, he was 13 when he started, year-old boy who needed help with study skills and learning how to organize that messy backpack and learn how to take notes. And these are things that he's still working on to this day, but he's gotten so much better as a rising 10th grader. Lauren spoke a little bit about the flexible scheduling. We, as I said, in Boca, most of our classes are 5 days a week, and they do fit in that 40-minute time spot. We're going to take a look at what the schedule looks like. I just don't have as much flexibility for the customization like what Lauren described. And then college preparation is also a part of what we do at SCORE, and we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail as we go forward. We do have open enrollment. You can enroll at any time. Obviously, it is to everyone's benefit if you make your decisions a little sooner rather than later, but we do offer, we do take kids throughout the entire school year. They may have situations that causes them the need to transfer because they need more attention as the year goes on, or sometimes a family may move into the area. There might be a lot of reasons why parents and students make this decision as we move through the school year.
I'll also add to this and just say we've taken students over the summer before. I've been able to start students over the summer, and we've also been able to work with students who perhaps are missing credits or have fallen behind for various reasons in their schooling, and we can really pick up at any point and help them, especially, I can do this a little more easily in a one-on-one setting, but allow them to play catch up and graduate on time.
Excellent. Okay, so we have a wide range of activities. I am going to have Tatum speak on this a little bit because she was a very active member of our student body. I'm going to miss her dearly after her 2.5 years with us in high school. I didn't say that. I swear we didn't. Okay. So we offer everything. We offer a full range of courses. We go from AP courses to honors courses to regular courses. We offer a ton of electives this coming year. We have everything from AP Psych to honors music theory to computer programming to we have a lot of different choices. AP Art, Studio, 2D, 3D. Tatum has taken quite a lot of art classes, but we do offer everything. We also have we have clubs that are built into the middle of the day. These are extracurricular activities that our students participate in. They range from academic to some that are just for fun. Tatum, could you, what do you think was which ones did you like the most? Which club?
So I was in woodshop this year, and that was something that was very interesting because I knew I was like an artistic person, but I never thought that I was going to be able to build stuff. And it was really cool to learn how to build stuff in a completely different style of life. And then I was also in STEM club, which was really cool also because it just opened my horizons so much more than in my interests and stuff. And I was also in math club where we practiced all year for this competition. And that was very cool because it made me, I came in not loving math at all into that club. And I ended up getting, I think, a 34 on my ACT. And I swear a lot of the skills I learned in that club helped me so much on my ACT. And just every club, I was also in poetry club where we did like very creative stuff. We learned about tarot cards and just like things that calmed me down during the day. And just every club was so like, such like a family and stuff, and you knew you wanted to go to the club like all day. You were just waiting to get to your club period and stuff, and it was very cool because I mean you learn such different skills that you can learn at any other school and stuff, and it was very nice.
Excellent. And she's a little too modest to not tell you how much of a rock star she was in mock trial. She had,
yes, oh yeah, mock trial.
Yes, killer opening argument. So, so that was great. But we do also have field trips. You can actually see that slide on the picture on the right at NASA. That was one that we did many years ago and took our students. Our population was a little bit smaller when we went then. The one on the right the left is a picture of our National Honor Society induction because we do have chapters of both NHS and JHS. And guess who was president for part of those times? Yeah, that would be Tatum. So she did a great job leading our students in NHS. We also had prom every year at the Oak Palm Beach over here in Manalapan, so that was nice. And wait, weren't you also voted like homecoming queen?
Yes.
Yes. We chose the right person for a reason.
She wore her prom dress during shop.
There you go.
And also the glamping field trip. We went glamping, which was such a different experience, and that was it's very cool to go on field trips and like because it makes the family so much stronger and stuff. And we like build like I was building a relationship with the girl I think in 3rd grade who I was a peer mentor for because we have the peer mentor club, and it was so cool to be like part of a family, but also go on field trips with this family and stuff that we created.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on to the next.
College counseling.
All right, Lauren, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So our SCORE Academy students are extraordinarily lucky to get individualized guidance from our expert and experienced college counselors. So Judy Rabinovitz, the founder of our company, she is a certified educational planner. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all things college. And so every senior who is at SCORE Academy takes a senior seminar in the fall, and they get to work with either Judy or some of our other counselors like Barbara on their college applications, on their essays, and on their college lists. Juniors also start working on their essays in their English class in their junior spring. And as heads of school, I think Leanne would attest to this as well, we are writing guidance counselor recommendations for our students, and we get to know our students at such a personal level. So when we write our guidance counselor recommendations, we're writing really personal letters speaking to that student as an individual and not just talking about them as, you know, this is the academics they took, this is their ranking. We really can write meaningful letters for each student. So Leanne, I don't know if you want to jump in more, but the upshot is our students really receive incredible personalized expert support when it comes to the college admissions process.
I would echo everything that Lauren said. The only thing I would also add is that we as heads of school also take a very, very hands-on approach to guiding kids towards this college path from the moment you enroll. So we know how the classes and how to arrange it so that, you know, your rigor increases every year and what makes sense and how to that college advising piece to make sure that your transcript is exactly how it's supposed to be is very important. You get that the whole way through. And then we also do a lot of advising in terms of when to take the SAT or the ACT or the PSAT, when do we want to do subject tests, those types of things. So there's a lot of personal attention every step of the way from your head of school, and then it all comes together that senior year when you start working with someone who will help develop that college list and help with the application and essay process.
So we have 5 physical locations in South Florida: Boca Raton, Palm Beach Gardens, Wellington, Coral Springs, and Weston. But since SCORE Academy's inception, we've been working with students virtually across the country and even around the world. Last year, we had a student enrolled full-time who lived in Belgium. I've worked with students across the country. I know Leanne's worked with students around the world. So virtual learning is something that we've been doing since the very beginning. So it's something we're experienced with. Our teachers are adept at teaching online. So we'll talk a little bit more about virtual learning later. But up until this point, it's mainly one-on-one, our virtual learning, but we are going to be offering small group virtual classes this upcoming school year. But the advantage of our virtual environment is that it's live and synchronous. So students are logging on and they're meeting live with their teacher. I want to make sure that that's clear.
Yes. Okay, so
Lauren, could I back up and say something about the college slide, because I didn't want to interrupt, but you know, I have 3 children. Tatum is my youngest, and she originally started out at a different private school, which is where my other 2 children came from. And she decided to change to SCORE Academy, even though she was a top student, because she just felt like she didn't love the environment where she was. So as a parent, I can tell you that the school that she used to go to, where her brother and sister went, was a very different atmosphere, in that when they started 9th grade, there was this pressure to focus on nothing but where you were going to college. And it was funny, because when we switched over to SCORE, Leanne made sure that you never had to feel that pressure, because you knew you were in good hands. She was not only going to tell you exactly what she thought of your schedule, but what she thought about what you were doing outside of school, your extracurriculars. And if you weren't doing some meaningful community service, and I don't mean just the whole school would go someplace and do something for an hour, but Tatum, for example, was involved in a foster care program where she was mentoring foster care kids who were her age. And she had done that for 2 straight years. It wasn't just on the weekends, it was 2 straight years. So you didn't feel that pressure. You felt like a normal high school kid, yet she graduated with 14 AP courses, a near perfect ACT score, a GPA that was over a 4.0, you know, and when it was time to fill out her college application, it was such a different feeling, because she didn't feel like, oh my God, that's, you know, the world is coming to an end. And her teachers were there for her. I remember you were writing this essay, and you had a great essay, but she just couldn't figure out how to start it. Like, she had the middle portion, and one of her English teachers helped her so much that it was like, that's what I was trying to say, you know. And she had their home telephone number, and there was never a period where you felt like you were going to miss a deadline. Miss Tammy, who is Leanne's right-hand person, you were never going to miss the deadline with Miss Tammy, because she'd be getting phone calls in the middle of the night. You know, so it's just such a different feeling. You didn't have to worry like that, but yet she got her first choice college. She just, and it was just such a nice experience. So I have to say that as a parent. I'm sorry if I took you off course, but.
Oh no, yeah. we appreciate it.
And I don't want to embarrass Tatum, but she took the ACT twice. Her first score was not so great, and she improved it to, was it the 34 that you wanted to pick? On the second try, just from taking a 6-week course at SCORE at the top. So yeah, so that was nice.
Thank you for that information. And so now this kind of leads us into our special students. So who are the kids that we get at SCORE Academy? They could be athletes who need flexible scheduling. They could be kids with learning differences. Maybe they're just highly visual or highly auditory or kinesthetic, and maybe the traditional classroom is not the most ideal place for them. They could have learning disabilities, could be reading, writing, math. They might have attention issues or need help with study skills and organization. These kids, maybe they've had a little anxiety going to bigger schools. Sometimes we just have kids that want to go to an Ivy League class, and they feel like they can learn more an Ivy League college, and they feel like they can learn more with 3 kids in AP physics instead of 30. So they feel like it better prepares them for college. But everybody has that individual story or that checklist of different items from those things that I talked about, and even then some, and the types of things you see on that list. But everybody goes to SCORE because they want some degree of individual attention, and for us to meet them wherever they are and to take them to that next level. You see in that picture there, we have one of our top athletes. She was a tennis player. That was her signing day at school last school year, and when she signed for Stanford, and she's done exceptionally well at Stanford since then. We still keep in touch with the family. So since we're talking about our students and where they went to school, this here shows a map, and it will continue to populate with the acceptances just for this year's graduating class. Now that is across all SCORE Academy locations. That goes from Boca and Coral Springs and Wellington and Palm Beach Gardens. But as you can see, we have quite a variety of schools. We have everything from UPenn going to Wharton, all the way across to the other coast with Pepperdine and, University of Denver and Colorado. We have acceptances to UVA, UNC. Tatum here is going to University of Miami. We also are super proud of our students that are going to Palm Beach State and Lynn, and that are staying local and FAU, so they really do range. There is, like, you see there's a red one on there, University of Georgia. This is my shameless mother plug. Sorry, it really is. Tim and Tatum, I don't know if you know this or not, but my oldest is a rising senior at SCORE, and a swimmer. So last Monday he committed to University of Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are super excited that he has that opportunity with a wonderful school, a wonderful swim team. He wants to make it to the Olympics in 2024, and we think that's the perfect place along with the perfect education for him. So we get to put that on there as like
Congratulations.
Thank you, because he's just a senior. Okay, so Lauren.
Yeah, well, I mean, we encourage you to please check out our reviews on our Google page, but as you can see, our families and our students are really happy. And, we can, talk to you all we want about SCORE Academy and how wonderful it is, but the best compliment is from our families themselves. So we encourage you to read the reviews. Also on the upper right-hand corner of the go-to meeting, I know Jason's included a handout, and we have some of those reviews for you all to look at and to read. You want to start this one off, Leanne?
Okay, I guess that was me. Sorry, I messed up that transition. Okay, so in the pandemic, of course, we went from being a school where everybody shows up at school and they had 40-minute classes and 5 minutes in between bells and whatnot. And then we had to make that switch to going all virtual. So we did use the Zoom platform, but we were completely synchronous. So they were live. So our students clicked a link and they joined the classroom for each of their teachers. Truthfully, we did it in the spring, we did it 4 days a week. We did have 1 day of independent learning where teachers did have office hours, but that's because we were, with the transition, we were trying to get everything working and everything smoothly. And so that worked pretty well, but we're not going to do that this coming year. So anytime, if we are virtual, even if we're 100% virtual, our classes will be live 5 days a week for every single period. We're offering our clubs, our seminars. You'll look at our schedule in just a moment. But the important part to emphasize is that it's all face-to-face live teaching. It's not independent. It works just like if your child were in the classroom, except we are on the computer. And we still go with that emphasis on being engaging, talking. The teachers aren't just showing a video every single day, and they're still talking to their students. Tatum, did you want to speak a moment about what you thought of what it was like when you were learning virtually?
So, the second we decided we were going to go virtual after the virus hit, it took less than, I think, one day, and it was over the weekend before we went completely virtual. And as a senior, I was really scared that I was going to lose my like senior experience and stuff. And I would just became National Honor Society president, and there was so much I still wanted to do, and I wanted to be able to feel like I was still having friends and part of this family over Zoom. And I didn't think that was possible. But like my first class, I was so like upset, and then it was so like I didn't have issues with concentrating and stuff virtually because I was seeing all my teachers, and it wasn't like you guys, like my teachers were assigning me just homework to do on myself, by myself at home. But I was like in a class just over the computer, and I was able to concentrate completely like normal and stuff. And it was just very, very impressive.
I think one of the things that I noticed when we toured SCORE Academy was that Miss Leanne told us that there are students that attend SCORE from all over the world. They might have to travel or whatever it may be. So I think this is a school that more than any other school really sort of knows how to roll with the punches, whatever life hits.
Yeah.
So they were up and running, and I remember just walking by and her acting just like she was in a classroom.
Yeah, we were having things with the whole senior class, talking about things about like graduation stuff and people's opinions. And with the graduation, we had a virtual graduation where I've never seen.
Sorry, don't talk about graduation yet, because we're gonna
Okay.
move to that slide. So
It is a very
I'm gonna
technologically
talk about
advanced
that in a
school.
moment.
Yeah. But it's very technologically advanced. And Tatum had some prior experience because going into her senior year, she was in AP Calculus her senior year, but Ms. Leanne thought that it might look, more well-rounded if she had a statistics course, an AP statistics course over the summer. So you had already taken an online course and had done very well in that. So it's just a very technologically advanced school. And I think no one would have been more set up that quickly because you had friends in public school and whatnot who weren't able to sort of blend into that scenario as quickly and seamlessly as you guys did.
They would like put their courses online, or teachers would film their lectures and assign them for homework. But with that, I don't see how like that's possible to be able to concentrate. Whereas at school, you were like in a classroom. You really were.
And the email communication from the school, Miss Leanne will really keep the parents up to date about every possible decision that she's contemplating and making, as well as the students. And, so we were very ready for it, and it went well.
Excellent. Thank you for your feedback. So if you see on the next slide, okay, Lauren, if you want to keep talking about this.
Yeah, I'll just, really in Coral Springs, because we were one-on-one, we also had a really fluid transition to online learning. There was actually no gap at all, and our students continued Monday through Friday with their regular classes. So I actually had a student say to me, I was chatting with her a couple of weeks ago, and she had her classes Monday through Friday, and she would log on, and there was really no difference to her academic schedule. But her brother, who was at a local private school, he only had class 2 days a week, and had to do a lot of independent work. So there really was no educational compromise for our students and their families with this transition during COVID. I was every day texting with teachers and parents and making sure everyone was where they needed to be. So there was constant communication. And I think overall our parents and students were really happy with how seamless it was.
I agree.
And now graduation.
Here we go. So we were able to graduate the students virtually. All of our different schools had their own separate graduation ceremonies. I did have the pleasure of having Tatum be one of our graduation speakers. We had two. We also gave out some awards and some superlatives and whatnot, and I think it turned out to be a pretty nice event. But since I know you guys were dying to talk about graduation, go ahead. I'm gonna let Kim and Tatum, you guys have 2 minutes. Go.
It was amazing. I mean, my mom and my whole family thought that it was better than any in-person graduation we've been to. It wasn't boring. It was very lively and stuff. And it was I think had like 2 rehearsals beforehand, and there were no errors. Everything went really smoothly. I mean, my boyfriend, who also went to SCORE at the top, his grandpa from South Africa was tuning in from South Africa. And even he said that that was like the best graduation he's ever seen virtually. It was amazing. I mean, I'm not a sentimental person, but I cried during it. It was everyone was crying. It was very, very, still we maintain that like family feeling.
It was very family feeling. I dread going to those things normally, and yet I watched the graduation a second time. There was something about that graduation, the opening sequence. It just, if you have a chance and you're watching this video, you should take a look at the graduation, and I think you'll feel what we mean. It was really different, really neat.
Thank you. And we are going to share that. I think we'll have a follow-up, and we're going to share the links of all of our graduation ceremonies, well, for Lawrence and also for mine. And I do encourage people to watch them, because I do think it's, I think if you watch the ceremony, or at least just the intro video, you can see who our students are. You watching my video or watching Lauren's video and how we are with our students, you can start to see how important those relationships are. I'm not usually known for being the crying sentimental type, but I mean, I'm sentimental, but I'm a little, but that graduation ceremony had me in tears and not keeping it together by the end of the ceremony. So we do encourage you to watch it to get a really good idea of
There was
and our family.
the prelude up to the graduation ceremony. The day that the students had to come to pick up their caps and gowns, they got again to be a part of the decision on how to do that. And Ms. Leanne made sure that every single one of the teachers from the entire school was standing in a giant round grassy area, all at least 6 feet apart with their masks on, as the cars drove around in a circle several times, and we all got to see each other and wave to each other. And it was very special. It was very special.
And I just hope that the takeaway for anybody who's watching this is just to show that, obviously we would love to think that we wouldn't be in this boat, this time next year, that we would have to do virtual graduation. But where I think it's important is to note that we maintain those relationships, that sense of closeness and that connection, even while virtual, which I think is pretty incredible, because the thing I still miss most about my job is not being around my kids and around my teachers and being in that environment. But I do think that all of the teachers and everyone work together to hold our families together.
Absolutely. So, the 2020-21 school year, it is a fluid situation, and we are going to continue to be flexible as we, as this summer unfolds and as we get more information, and continue to follow CDC recommendations. But I was going to speak a little bit about virtual schooling and what that would look like for the next school year. So I think that's the next slide. So, just as our transition this past spring for COVID, our classes will continue to be live synchronous classes this school year. Students will have the option for one-on-one or small group classes. And what distinguishes our virtual schooling is that there's no more than 8 students in a class. So your students logging onto class, they're not in a class of 20, 30 kids and lost in the shuffle. They're still getting that individualized attention. Students will follow a regular school day schedule Monday through Friday. They'll have their full schedule and they will log on to Zoom at the appropriate time. Most importantly, our teachers will continue to support their students live and face-to-face, and that classroom discussion and engagement will continue in a virtual setting. So this is, if we have to go virtual in the fall, we will continue, but our teachers are very comfortable with the technology. This is not new for them.
Okay.
Leanne,
So this shows what a typical schedule would look like. We do, at least in Boca, because remember, again, we have a slightly larger population of students, so everybody fits into this grid system where the classes are 5 days a week, and their first period starts at 8 o'clock, then there's 8:45, 9:30. Now mind you, not everyone starts at the same time. We are customized in terms of your start and your end time because we do have to accommodate so many athletes. So most students start at 8:45, some start at 8, some start at 9:30. But I do have students that may start at 10:15. I even have one that starts at 12:30, and then they go later in the day to accommodate their athletic schedule. So that's the way it works in person, but that's also the way it's going to work online. So at that same exact time if you have an 8:45 class, they will click the teacher's link and they have that class every single day of the week. You can also see in this diagram, the blue, you may not be able to read it all, but that there are the club periods in the middle of the day and lunch. And we're even going to offer virtual lunch. So one of our teachers will have an open Zoom room where kids can pop in and have lunch together and have that time to socialize, because we do feel like it's important, even in this environment. Not only are we're getting the teaching right, but we want to make sure they don't lose their friendships and their connections. You can also see that we do weekly seminars by grade level. Those are every Wednesday, and so we have certain things that we're teaching. So whether it's Passport to the World for 6th graders and public speaking for 7th, leadership in 8th, and then 9th we do grammar, 10th writing, 11th I could read the slide, but I'm going from memory, critical thinking, and then in 12th grade we are doing our senior seminar. So that's the way it would look virtual. And if we go on to the next slide, that's also the way it looks if we do our hybrid option. Now we are planning, we have our phase 1 reopening is our hybrid model. Now I would love for this to happen on the first day of school, and but at the moment we're going to wait. We're supposed to on August 1st make that final decision on when we think it might be safe to start this phase 1 blended learning model. The benefit of our small school is we don't have to say we're committing to, like, let's say the facts and the statistics are just very grim in 2 weeks from now, and we don't feel safe, or we don't feel altogether comfortable and safe about bringing everyone back at that moment. We don't have to commit to 100% virtual for the whole quarter or even the whole semester. We will have this plan in place for the blended model so that we can go back at any time. It could be 2 weeks into the school year. It could be 2 months. I mean, it could be 14 days. That is too, sorry about that. I would come up with a different number. But the point is that we can do this. So what does hybrid mean? What that means is we are a small school, but we still have to reduce the number of students that are in the building because our classrooms really are designed for for fewer students. So by assigning A days and B days to students, we will have a portion of the students in the classroom live with the teacher, and then a portion of students at home in that same classroom, and then they will switch. Now, what the exact A day and B day schedule is, we will be announcing that as we go forward. So whether it's 2 days and then 3 days and they switch, or even 1 week and then the next week, but it'll be a nice balance where we're reducing the number of students in the classroom so we can all stay socially distanced and as safe as humanly possible. So I'm not going to, you can see what some of the things that we're doing as part of our plan. Yes, we're going to have the daily temperature checks upon arrival. It's an ordinance anyway, so masks need to be worn by the teachers and the students. The social distancing from the desk standpoint, and even in the lunchroom, we have hand sanitizers everywhere. Honestly, we had that before because people believer that you should have washed your hands a year ago. So I think we had plenty of those hand sanitizer stations. We are going to limit visitors. So unfortunately, our parents who want to camp out at school all day, and we did have a few, sorry to say, they can't camp out all day long and just stay. We are doing vital oxide spraying. We've already started that, where they're spraying the entire school with an antimicrobial spray that goes on surfaces and kills COVID-19 on contact. So, we really are trying very hard to make sure that all of our staff and all of our students remain as safe as possible. And realistically, I love my job, I love my students, but I'm also a mom of 2 kids that go to the school. So, protecting my kids means protecting all of my kids. Mm-hmm. And so we have to make sure that whatever we do, and trust me, I'm the mom with the ADHD kid who wants nothing more than to go back and have in-person learning. So I cannot wait for that day to happen, to come back. We just want to make sure it comes at the right time and it's done properly. But I have every faith that we're planning for it. It's going to happen. I just can't guarantee the date at the moment. So I think I would hope that you would know at home, but by now, after watching us, speak and listening to Kim and Tatum, that we are very, very, very committed to our students. We're very committed to our school and education, and doing everything that we can to do right by our students and by our families and by our teachers. Lauren, do you want to add anything to that?
Just, the safety really is our #1 priority with the start of this school year. And I think Kim and Tatum can attest to the fact that, each SCORE Academy really feels like its own family. So, it's our family and we want to keep everyone safe. And that's our #1 priority for the start of the school year.
Okay, so at this point, we're going to open up for questions. I'm going to add one question that I know is going to come up, which is how much does it cost? Because I think I don't know why that slide wasn't, I thought it was a slide we were going to have. But we do have a variety of options. Your typical group tuition is $27,000 per year. And then we also, all one-on-one tuition, it is $54,000 per year. But we also offer a variety of hybrid arrangements where they could be part group, part one-on-one, or maybe they take 5 classes for slightly less tuition. And we honestly work with so many families with so many different ranges of budget, that someone might be at, with a tuition in the teens, that we can work with them to find the right package for them, to have the right combination of classes. So we do have a pretty wide range of tuition options. Even to the point where you take a one-on-one class and take a single class with us, if you wanted to just take your math or your English class with us. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Lauren.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, for any interested families, I really encourage you to reach out to either myself or to Leanne, because we do work with families closely one-on-one to figure out the best program for you, for your family, and make it affordable for you.
And just to add in there, we also accept the McKay Scholarship, the Gardner Scholarship, the FTC Scholarship, and pretty much if there's a scholarship in Florida, we're probably taking it.
And the Hope Scholarship as well.
There you go.
So we do offer all of those. But if you do have the McKay, don't forget the deadline for enrollment for full payment. That's if you've already declared your intent to use McKay. Declaring your intent simply means you just filled out the application. So if you just Google McKay application or McKay Florida, and if anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, those are for kids who have accommodations in the public school system. So if your child has a 504, or in some cases an IEP, not the IEP for gifted, but the IEP if they have any learning issues, then all you have to do is fill out the application, which doesn't take long, maybe 30 seconds, and it's very simple, and you can apply. Now, just because you apply doesn't mean you have to use it. But what it will do is they'll respond within a relatively short amount of time. I don't know how COVID has changed things, and they will let you know your funding amount. So the way it would work is that whatever tuition you are with us, if we're at that 22.5 or that 27 mark, we deduct the McKay from that, and then the parent is responsible for the difference. And if you've already filed your intent before July 3rd, I believe was the intent date, you have until August 2nd or 3rd to enroll in any school. This isn't just SCORE Academy. Whatever private school that you might choose, you have until that date to get 100% of your funding. So, but again, I can help talk people through that if you have individual questions about McKay and using McKay and how Gardner works. I'd be happy to talk at any point.
Well, Leanne and Lauren, it looks like you guys were so thorough. We don't have any questions.
Wow.
So I really like to thank you both for doing this tonight, and Kim and Tatum, thank you for being our guests and adding to the conversation. I think you guys added a really great perspective about our school, which you know, it always put a smile on my face, my mother's face as well.
I could go on and on. It is very, very special place. It really, really was.
Anyone in the audience has any other questions, wants to follow up, here's the contact information for both Lauren and Leanne. But we also have our Palm Beach Gardens office is Robin Cantor, our Wellington office is Maggie Alexander. You can feel free to reach out to whoever's closest to you. I will promise you, you're going to get almost the exact same advice from everyone on my team. And you can always reach out to me, where I'm Jason at SCORE at the top as well. And you've been getting my email, so just respond to one of them. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a good night. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.